Bulelwa, good day to you. Thanks very much for joining us. And I suppose it's all got to do with the details of this. The judge not saying he has to be extradited, this is Shrien Dewani, to South Africa, but merely recommending that he can be extradited. Is my understanding correct?
It's perfectly correct, Gareth. Thank you very much. Yes, we're still to get the full transcript of the ruling today, but our immediate response is really of relief, of excitement that we've come to this point, and we seem to have succeeded thus far. And so when he says he can be extradited, is obviously giving space to the fact that he may still have options to appeal, Mr. Dewani, that is. So we await that, and if he decides to use that option, I think he can and he should. So we'll take things as they come.
As far as how the NPA has been handling this particular case over the past, it has been the best part of 3 years now, indeed, as well. You talk of the various avenues of appeal. Are you able to elaborate on what you expect Mr. Dewani to now do next if he was to appeal within 14 days?
Look, Gareth, the important thing to remember is that he appealed before. And therefore, this time, I think the scope of his appeal will be even more limited. But we don't know what it will be. From our perspective, we are just excited that there is movement forward. Because at some point, people were really getting frustrated. Everybody in the criminal justice system was getting frustrated that this seemed to be pushed further and further along. So I think we're very much closer to the end, and really hoping to get to a point where Mr. Dewani actually lands on South African soil and faces the South African criminal justice system in court.
Many of the arguments put forward by Mr. Dewani's defense were shot down effectively by this judge. If I can, he says that authorities have given him assurances that he will receive proper medical care if need be, and the risks of a psychological problem here in South Africa, the risks of that have broken down. So then are you happy? Are you content with the fact that your case has been put forward as to how you could handle Mr. Dewani should he arrive here in South Africa?
Yes, Gareth, you see, the thing that really convinced the courts is that, it was not just words. I think there was a lot of practical examples that were presented. At some point, they even had their own experts come through and sort of inspect what we were presenting in their court. So out of all of that, they were fully convinced that everything is in place for, to take care of his health issues, whatever the nature or form they are. We do have the best systems, or at least systems that are of the same or similar standard as that could be expected in other countries like the British, like the UK.
I imagine then if this was to come to a head and Mr. Dewani would arrive in South Africa, that the NPA would push, I'm sure, for a very, very speedily trial. Yes, that's important also. As we have with all the other co-accused, you're aware that the co-accused in this matter have actually been convicted and sentenced already. They are serving their sentences as we speak. And that was concluded very speedily, and we're hoping that we'll be able to do that as well as soon as he lands in South Africa. And we'll leave it there for the moment. Indeed, a huge pleasure talking to you. Bulelwa Makeke, the spokesperson of the National Prosecuting Authority, joining us from our Pretoria studios.
News that moves. eNCA.com.